Alright, now we've come to section 2.3 and we're looking at now to learn how to apply order of operations with powers. So now things might get a little bit messy, but when we see expressions with lots of different operations, what do we do? So is there an order we should use? And I think you've seen this before. It's called the order of operations. And some of you know this with the acronym BEDMAS. B stands for the brackets. So we always evaluate the expression in the brackets first. Then E, we then evaluate the exponents, what we just learned the last few days. And then D and M, I put it together because you're actually multiplying and dividing. Like Mr. Lee, D comes first, dividing and multiplying. No, it actually doesn't. Multiplying and dividing are at the kind of like the same level. So what you do is, of course, you do the brackets first, then exponents, and then whatever you see first in the order from left to right, you do the division, then multiplication. Okay? Or multiplication and division, whichever comes first, order from left to right. And then finally, the same thing with adding and subtracting. It's whatever comes first from left to right. Okay? So example number 1, I'm going to ask you to now try to determine what we should do first before evaluating. And this time I'm going to actually make you show all your work. I know some of you are like, Mr. Lee, this is easy, but it's going to help you later on with more complicated questions. Okay? Once you become an expert, you might not have to show as much. But I see here in A, 3 plus 4 squared. So I see a plus and a square. What do I do first? Yeah, it's the exponent. So I'm going to actually do the exponent part here first. That means I'm just going to keep the 3 as is, the plus as is, and evaluate the 4 squared. And 4 squared is 16, you bet that. And then 3 plus 16 is just 19. That's it, we're done. Next one, part B. I see a subtraction and an exponent. What do I do first? Looking at BEDMAS, it's the exponent again, so I will circle that. 2 cubed, 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8, so 5 minus 8, and this equals negative 3. We're done. Next one, I see brackets, I see minus, and I see exponent. So what do I do first? Well, in this case, you've got to do the brackets first. And what I mean by brackets is look inside the bracket and see what you have inside there and apply exponent law, or apply the order of operations there first. So in this case, there's only a subtraction, so I got to do that first. 8 minus 10, that's just negative 2. So notice I'm still having my bracket, but now the inside just evaluates to negative 2. And now I'm going to have to square it, so now I'm just going to apply the exponent. This is negative 2 to the power of 2, and that's 4. You might be asking, Mr. Lee, there's still a bracket there, so what's going on? Should I do that first? Yeah, but this bracket only has one number inside, so we've already simplified it. So now that bracket just helps us determine that this is a negative response, or negative 2, and we just have to do negative 2 squared. Okay? Alright, next one, D, 2 times 6 squared. So once again, multiplying, exponents. Exponents are first, so yeah. 2 times and 6 squared, that's 36, so 2 times 36 is 72. Okay, now for this one, do not get confused and go 2 times 6, let's do that first, that's 12, oh yeah, and then square it. If you did that, that would be the answer to this question, where notice I put a bracket around the 2 times 6, so I do that first. Okay, alright, E, division and exponents. Let's do the exponents first. Negative 18 divided by, and now what's 3 squared? That is 9. So once again, this bracket here is not really a bracket. It's just there to show or help me understand that this is a negative number. So negative 18, that whole thing divided by 9, that's now negative 2. Okay? So once again, the bracket's not really there if there's nothing to evaluate. That's just to help us understand this is the number negative 18. And for part F, I've got brackets, but this time notice there's stuff in the bracket I gotta do first. So 3 times 2, I'll do that, that's 6. And now I have division and exponents, so what's next? I better do the exponent first using BEDMAS. So therefore, this is 36 divided by, and 6 squared is also 36, and 36 divided by 36, that equals to 1. Okay. So once again, notice how example 1e, the curved brackets right here, were used to help show negative numbers. So when dealing with order operation questions with negative numbers, Sometimes mathematicians will also use square brackets. Don't freak out. They're just another set of brackets. Okay? So let's turn the page and let's see if we can try some examples with brackets that are square. But once again, square brackets, curved brackets, they're just brackets. Okay? Alright, lots of stuff with 2a here. I'm going to ask you once again to show our work. And remember to use order of operations. I write this down, bed mass, B, E, and then don't forget DM, and then AS, bed mass. Okay? So in this case, I see brackets first. So I'm thinking, let's evaluate the stuff inside my square brackets. That's this part. Okay? I'm going to keep everything else the same for now. Inside my square brackets, however, I see division and I see an exponent. So what should I do first? We'll go through BEDMAS, and I should do the exponent first. So I'm going to keep the 24 and the divide by as is, and then just evaluate this part, negative 2 cubed, and that becomes negative 8. Notice I'm still using a curved bracket to show that negative number, negative 8. Okay. So I've simplified the exponent part. I still have my brackets, so I still have to do the stuff inside the brackets. So the next thing I should do is just this part here, the 24 divided by 8. And that gives us what number? If you said negative 3, I'm happy. So I'm going to write down negative 3. Now notice here, now do I need these square brackets and the curved brackets? Not really. That's like bracket overkill. So if you just want to write this as negative 3, you're more than welcome to do so. Don't forget, you still have this 4 to the power 0 we haven't done yet. And now, looking at the negative 3 plus 4 to the power 0, what's next? If you said, let's do the exponent, you're correct. So then, what's 4 to the power 0? If you said 1, I'm quite happy. Now you can do the final step of adding negative 3 plus 1, negative 2. Done. Okay. Ooh, part B, more brackets, more stuff. Ow, 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 scary, scary, scary. I see exponents too, right? So should I do that first? No, always do the brackets first. So let me just copy the 6 cubed. Let me copy the bracket here. Let me copy the negative 5. And so yeah, we're supposed to evaluate the stuff in the bracket, but I see multiplication of 4 times this and another bracket inside. Oh my goodness. Oh boy, so let me copy the 4, and then let's deal with the inside bracket of the bracket. Let's deal with this part first, okay? So in here I see 8 to the power 0, that's an exponent. I see a minus sign, that's subtraction, and another exponent. What do I do first? The exponents. So, 8 to the power 0, what's that? Yeah, 1. What's 2 to the power 2? 2 squared, that's 4. So, 1 minus 4. That's what we've done so far. That yellow stuff just becomes 1 minus 4. Wow. We still have brackets, so let's continue the stuff in the bracket. So let's just copy the stuff outside for now. So we can keep it as is, okay? Now, what's the inside part? 1 minus 4 is another bracket, so I guess I keep that 4 out there, but 1 minus 4 is negative 3. And notice if there's no sign between two numbers, that just means multiplication, so I gotta do that next. So once again, I'm keeping everything else the same. Notice I'm trying to color code this for you as well. And what's 4 times negative 3? That's negative 12. Okay? Now once again, I don't need that square bracket and the curved bracket, so maybe what I'll do in my next line is just get rid of one set. But what should I do next? I see exponents, division, addition. And if you said exponents, that's right. So 6 cubed, do that next. That's 6 times 6, that's 36 times 6. 216 in my books. Double check with the calculator. And then I'm going to say just divide by negative 12 with just the curved brackets, and then add negative 5. So now in this line, I've got division, addition. What's next? Division it is. So let's do that part first. 216 divided by 12. If you're not too sure, hello calculator. 216 divided by negative 12. I think that's negative 18. So this is negative 18. I'm going to put the bracket in front just to help us identify this as a negative number. And so now I have negative 18 plus negative 5. And if I add those together, you get negative 23. Woo! That was tough. Lots of steps, right? Notice I've written down 5 or 6 lines of work because I wanted to show you the steps involved. I know some of you are like, I hate writing steps. Well, if you do not like writing steps, then you might make some mistakes. And I'd rather you take your time and do it right than go fast and get it wrong. Alright, last one here, part C. Woo! This is like mammoth, brackets, exponents, everything. So, notice I have brackets, so you gotta do brackets first. So in that case, I'm saying, look, I've got 2 sets of brackets. This one I highlight here in yellow, and this one I'm highlighting here in green. Just do those from left to right then, okay? Now inside that bracket, I've got exponents, and then I got a subtraction. So I gotta do the exponents first. So negative 2 to the power 3. That's negative 8. And then negative 3 squared. Oh, this is weird. Notice that negative is not applying to the negative 3. The base in this case is just the 3. This one's tricky. So we'll keep the negative there. What's 3 squared? That's 9, yes. Now, if you didn't understand what I just did there, look back at the section 2.1 video on page 2. That's where I explain what this is all about. Okay, and then that second set of brackets in green now. 5 cubed. 5 cubed, that's 5 times 5 times 5, that's 125. Minus and 2 to the power 7. Whoa, 2 times 2 times 2 times 7 times. I'm not too sure. So, hello, calculator. 2 to the power 7. Oh, I think I do know. It's 128. Okay, so that's the first line of simplifying. We still have our brackets, so let's go ahead and keep on simplifying inside the brackets. So now I'm going to take a look at here. 8 take away negative 9. Sorry, negative 8. Sorry, negative 8 take away negative 9. That's the same thing as adding the opposites. That's the same thing as negative 8 plus 9. And that's just equal to the number 1. And then 125 minus 128, that's, I think, negative 3. And then now all we have is to simplify the exponents, and then we can do the addition. 1 to the power 0, that's just 1. And then negative 3 squared, that's just 9. Not negative 9, but 9, right? Because this is the same thing as negative 3 times negative 3. And 1 plus 9 is just 10. And there we have it. We're done. Now, could we have done part C a little bit quicker? I'll let you decide if we could have. Take a look at the question again. And if I said to you, I think I could have done something really, really quick right at the beginning, maybe you can figure what that is and tell me in class the next day. All right, that's it for today.